Well, it's been a while since I said this one, but the Golden State Warriors have lost in the NBA Finals. So, now it's a matter of, are they going to be back here, and if so, how long is it going to take, and all that stuff. Number one, safe bet they're not going to make it next season because, even if they re-sign KD and Clay, KD's probably going to miss a whole year, and Clay is going to miss like 7 months. Now, is it possible that if they do a really good job with retooling the roster, that they could hold on until Clay comes back deep into the regular season next year, and then they can go on some crazy playoff run? I guess it's possible. I don't think it's very likely, but it's something to strive for. I think moving forward, though, past next season, we got to say, okay, can Draymond hold up? Well, hopefully, if he keeps his weight under control. I mean, yeah, it was cool that he lost the 20 pounds, but the fact that he was 20 pounds overweight anyway is an alarming thing, and he's a guy who has always looked to be a little too heavy than he really should be. So that's number one. Number two is Steph's going to be 2 years older after next season, because again, I don't think they have a real chance of making it. So, and by the way, I'm going to do a whole video about how the Western Conference is now wide open with that and everything. But, 33-year-old Steph Curry, I think he can still be pretty awesome. I think he can probably still be good enough to be the best player on a title team. Clay, we have to assume, bounces back from the ACL injury because, yeah, ACLs can be rough, but it's usually the thing where if it's just one time it happens to you, you can usually come back and be the same player. Achilles is a little scarier. Now, of course, if they keep Kevin Durant, which, there's a lot of rumors to suggest he's not going to be on this team, but if he is, then I think they can probably just keep on doing what they're doing after next season, and they can still keep on going to many finals and all that stuff. But it seems like the guy's going to leave. So then we look at the rest of the roster. So Livingston has a non-guaranteed option. They are going to decline that, gotta assume. Iguodala is here for at least one more season, and they can really hope that he can hold on next year, but once his contract is up, could I see them re-signing him? I would say it's either no, he retires, or yes, but to a pretty short, or not a lot of money, I guess, which is something, but even then, I mean, if the Warriors have 3 of their top 4 guys, they're not going to have that much money to really make a lot of moves. So they're going to have to think long and hard about basically every little contract they have. So they got to say to themselves, is it worth hoping that Iguodala can be who we hope he is in the conference finals and the NBA finals? He had his moments this year, and I think he can have them next year as well, but you might have to play that guy 50 games a season from now on, and don't be surprised if he can't go the whole playoffs. And I mean, I can see it still working, but with just how tight all the money is going to be for this team moving forward, I could see them going a different direction there. Besides that, they just desperately need dudes who can make shots. I mean, Quinn Cook, you would love for it to be a thing, but he's a little too J.R. Smithy, and he's too small to be a real defender. Alfonso McKinney, in theory, is a tall 3-and-D guy like a Trevor Ariza, but when you actually watch him out there, kind of hesitant on his threes, little too small to be a real defender. So how does this team get those kind of guys? Well, they have pretty much all of their draft picks moving forward. The only one they don't have is a second rounder in 2020 that's got a million stipulations behind it. Everything else, all their first round picks, all their second round picks are in play. And given that they are at the top of the league when healthy, with or without Kevin Durant, you got to think that first round picks just don't mean as much to them. And perhaps we could see them do what the Cavaliers did when they had LeBron, which is kind of throw their first round picks away a little bit, spend 2 on Mozgov and spend 1 on Kyle Korver, that kind of thing. And just hope that you can skate by on that sort of thing for as long as Steph and Clay and Draymond can keep on being who they are. It's either that, or you have to really nail it with basically every pick you have, because There's just not going to be a lot of other options there. You might be able to squeak in a mid-level or a biannual exception, which, I mean, those can get you players. But when you can really nail it with a pick, some guy in the late first round who you're paying, I don't know, $2-3 million a year to for at minimum like 4 seasons, and then you can sign him with bird rights, of course. That's the kind of thing that you're desperate for when you're a team that's just hovering at the luxury tax and all that stuff. And maybe not even the luxury tax, but just being close to the cap, if not over it, basically just off of 3 players. I mean, next season, Steph's making 40. Clay's max would have him over 35, and I think a similar thing could be said for Draymond, so that's just probably what they're going to have to deal with. I mean, you look at Kevon Looney, right? He was their best center this season. He's getting paid $1.5 million. I'm sure they would love to bring him back, but if it's going to cost $7 or $8 million to keep him, and I don't know if it's going to cost that much, but if it is, then that's something that they're going to have some conversations about. I mean, again, if you've signed your 3 main guys and KD's on some other team, you're still pushing the cap right there. You re-signed Looney. Now you're already looking at nearly, 116, 117 in salary? So at that point, you're basically just hanging on to your mid-level. So then you might have to make other small moves, decline McKinney's option, trade away Damian Jones, which I don't really know if you could get anything for him. That, or you can just hope that he becomes a real player. I think the Jordan Bell experiment is kind of over. His contract is up, and I don't know, he wasn't really good this season. There's also Jacob Evans, who I'm sure they would love if he ended up being an actual player. He's on a rookie deal. They have him until 2022, and I don't know. He's a guy. He's a 2-guard. He didn't really play much this year. Don't know. So it's just going to have to be that kind of stuff. Of course, they're always going to have a chance on the buyout market, and any veteran who is willing to take a pay cut in order to just ring chase, that's always going to be an option. The David Wests of the world and stuff like that. Basically, what the Warriors need to have as their objective moving forward is, can we have like 8 players that we're comfortable with in a playoff series? Because in this finals and the conference finals and all that, how many guys were they really okay with out on the floor? It wasn't that many at the end of the day. And there was usually, like in every lineup, there would have been one guy where you were like, I don't know. I mean, he's out there because we need him, but you don't want to have that problem moving forward. So they're just going to have to do really good on all the little things, and they can't have any more botched, like, Nick Young signings. When they messed that one up, okay, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. If they messed that one up moving forward, assuming KD's not on the team, that could really hurt them for stuff. But again, this is after next season because Clay's going to be out for a while, and KD, even if he comes back, is not going to be playing. But even with that said, they're still going to give Clay a max, which I think they should do. So that's what I got on the Warriors. I do think they're still going to be around. Maybe they're not going to be the perennial finals contender and finals team and all that, but they're going to be in Western Conference Finals and really intense round 2 series and all that stuff, and it'll be fun.